Hi everyone and welcome back to Evocative Scents. Well, there is a new successor to the very popular 9pm from the house of Afnan, of course, and before its release it was touted to be another Qaed Aventus Absolu clone. And thankfully it isn't one, or at least not completely, because most of the fragrances that have pineapple note in some form will remind you of the king Qaed Aventus. And before we take a deeper look at this fragrance, if you are new to this channel, do consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you love fragrances and fragrance related content, do consider hitting that notification bell as well. Now let's quickly move on to the presentation and packaging. It comes in grey colored striped box with red color 9pm Rebel on front of it, and of course there is Afnan on the front as well. What Afnan has done very well with this fragrance is that despite being a newer release, it hasn't increased the price wildly. It is cheaper than the Rasasi Havas or the Havas Ice for that matter. Even the prices of Arma fragrances have gone way up. Now onto the packaging. It is very standard packaging but very classy indeed. And yes, if you had noticed that there is an authenticity hologram at the back of the box, and once you open up the box it is written crafted by Afnan. And then there is the dash of rainbow colors in the other side of the box, and this is where the bottle rests. The bottle design is very similar to the 9pm with very few minor changes. They haven't gone overboard with the packaging and it has helped them to keep the cost down. And now to the beautiful red colored sleek bottle. The original 9pm bottle was also very simple yet elegant, and this one is not very different either. The 9pm Rebel comes in Eau de Parfum concentration as usual. The glass is very thick and heavy at the bottom of the bottle, and the red color really pops. It's plain and simple at the back, nothing fancy, and there is a black chrome colored cap, and this time Afnan is written on top of it. They are just letting you in every possible way that it is manufactured by Afnan. The cap is very heavy and solid, but it is scratch prone, and once again when you open the cap you can see the Afnan on the atomizer as well, and the cap clicks very nicely onto the bottle. And it's time for the spray test. The atomizer is a good one but not a pressurized one. It suits decent amount of juice. The packaging is beautiful and the same goes for the bottle as well. So overall in terms of presentation and packaging it scores a very good 8.5 out of 10. A pressurized atomizer would have taken it very close to the perfection. But now let's begin with the smell. Now as soon as you spray this perfume, it opens up very strongly. It is very loud and an absolute room filler for first half an hour. You will absolutely get the pineapple note in the beginning, but along with that you will get a strong apple note. Whereas in the Qaed Aventus or Aventus Absolu, or for that matter Arma Club de Nuit Precieux, has little bit of more citruses in the opening along with that pineapple note. The thing with this cologne is that it will remind you of various fragrances but not being a clone of any of them. It has a sugary sweetness that will remind you of Baccarat Rouge 540, but it also has a pineapple opening with a green and musky dry down. What this fragrance does very well is that it combines two aspects of fragrances which are enjoyable and mass pleasing at the same time. It is a clean fresh scent but with a candy opening. Once the pineapple and candy like sweetness settles down, the green elements like the oakmoss and the patchouli come to the front, which is quite a stark difference from the candy and sweet opening. And this kind of transformation really shows the depth of this fragrance. There is a hint of caramel at the far end of the spectrum in the dry down, but it is the green and musky facets which you will get in the dry down. I feel that this fragrance is perfectly unisex because it has a beautiful mixture of fruitiness, sweetness with musky and green accords in the dry down. It is not the most unique in terms of smell, but at the same time you just can't pinpoint to any other fragrance and say, oh, this is the fragrance that it is cloning. The opening however is quite similar to the Lattafa Qaed al Fursan. However, I feel that the dry down is very different. Since the fragrance is fresh, fruity and sweet, this is going to be a very mass appealing fragrance, and this scent profile is just what the right mixture is to be a compliment magnet. So overall in terms of scent profile or the smell aspect of this fragrance, I would give this fragrance a solid 8.25 out of 10. And in terms of versatility it is very high. It is perfectly unisex and this fragrance can be worn all around the year except in very high heat. Be it spring, fall, winters or mild summers, it is perfect for all these weathers. Except in very high heat you would want something very light fragrance and this may be cloyingly sweet. But if cool winds are blowing in a summer evening, it can be an excellent choice. I feel that this fragrance leans slightly more towards the casual side due to the sweet nature of it, but once the dry down hits, it turns to a more serious fragrance. As for office scent, I think this opening is a bit too much for the office scenario. But if you go with less spray and once the dry down hits, it can be perfectly okay. But it is an excellent option for casual scenario. And so for the versatility, I would give this fragrance a solid 8 out of 10. And now finally into the performance. And it is truly a strong point of this fragrance also. Especially for a fresh scent, you are getting around 6 to 7 hours of longevity, with the first half an hour being an absolute room filler, and it will certainly get you noticed. And overall projection would be around 1.5 to 2 hours, and it will be beyond an arm's length. With this fragrance, 4 sprays is good enough, and you shouldn't go with more than 6 sprays. In terms of performance, I would give this fragrance a solid 8 out of 10. Now this fragrance has high scores in every category. So is it a blind buy worthy fragrance? I would say it depends. If you like pineapple fragrances and really sweet ones, then you would love it. But if you don't like sweet fragrances at all, you may not like it. As I always say, try a decant before considering a full purchase. However, I also feel that this is an easier fragrance to recommend compared to a Rasasi Havas. So combining all these scores along with the price, I would give this fragrance a solid 8.5 out of 10. If you like this video, hit that like button, and if you love fragrance related content, hit that subscribe button as well. If you have tried this perfume, I would love to hear your thoughts about it. So that's it for today's video, and I will meet you next time with a new fragrance.